Greetings, survival horror fans. EQA Nostalgia here, and what is Daymare 1998 is the question that is bouncing around in your head. Or maybe you just want to hear somebody talk about it because you're hyped for the game. Either way, this is a very exciting title from Invader Studios. If that name sounds somewhat familiar to you, that's because they used to go under Invader Games and they were working on the fan recreation of Resident Evil 2. You guys know the one. It's the one everybody was hyped for. I covered it a while ago. I'll put it up on the screen. If you're out of touch, you might not have heard of it. Go check that out. It'll open up a separate window and you can come right back to this one. But these guys were working on a fan remake, and that's what motivated Capcom in the first place to say, hey, maybe we ought to do something with this. Maybe it's worth it to go back and redo Resident Evil 2. They had an epiphany that somehow just didn't rattle around in their skulls. I don't know, 5 years prior. This is something that, in my opinion, has been long overdue. But anyways, they flew these guys down to the studio to talk to them. Capcom did, which I thought was really awesome. We still don't know what came of that. I've been looking around for it. I don't see anything anywhere on their page, anywhere in the forums. If you guys know what came of that meeting, let me know, because as of now, I think it's a mystery. However, I can tell you one thing that's come of it, and that is Daymare 1998. That's what you're looking at on your screen right now. If it looks like a mix between Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 2, well, it's because that's kind of what it is. Now, if you're no stranger to this channel, you know that I've been very vocal about speaking out against Resident Evil 2 Remake being anything like Resident Evil 4. I do not want an over-the-shoulder view for that game. At least not yet. I've been waiting for Resident Evil 2 Remake for a very long time. Ever since the Resident Evil 1 remake, I want it to be just like that. I want it to be fixed camera angles. I want it to be very classic tank controls. I want them to maybe add new stuff, talk about Ada's story a little bit more, maybe Ben, go into the backstories of that, kind of like they did with the original remake with Lisa Trevor and the whole mansion, the backstory of the mansion. That's what I want for Resident Evil 2 Remake. But if later on they did something like this, I would be completely okay with that. That might not make sense to some people, but that's the way it is. I want the original formula done justice first before they do anything else. And that's why I'm completely okay with this game, because it's not stepping all over what I want. While that might sound selfish to some folks, we have to understand that there are some original fans that have been waiting a long time for Resident Evil 2 Remake, and we've had it in our head a certain way for a long time. We want that original formula done justice. But that doesn't mean that a lot of us aren't interested in this as well. I was certainly a fan of Resident Evil 4, and this looks very interesting to me. The first thing that should be going through your mind if you're a Resident Evil 2 fan is, wow, this very much looks like a Resident Evil 2 environment that he's running around in. Now, obviously, the view is from a Resident Evil 4 perspective and on, but this is very much harkening back to those older times. Another thing that I think is interesting is this character, when we see him, for the most part, he looks like Hunk. Now, obviously, he's not Hunk. They can't do that. They'd be sued. They wouldn't have any kind of studio going forward, right? The game would be shut down. It would be disaster. But obviously, that's what they're going for. They're going for a Hunk-type persona here. Now, this is something that I'm positive was done on purpose. But this whole area that he's walking around in, it's basically a mix of Raccoon City and the RPD. In just different ways. If you look at it, it kind of looks like, oh, this looks like the place where he's going up the back of the stairs towards the back of the RPD. But then as he turns and looks over here, you can start to see, oh shit, that looks like the front of the RPD when you're first coming in. So they're blending things together that are familiar, yet they're not really ripping them off. They're being unique. And I can tell you right now, if this is an indication of how the entire game is going to play, I'm going to love the shit out of this game. If I go around and areas are oddly familiar in some ways, but then you turn around and they're oddly familiar from something else, that's perfect. They've nailed it. The developers are obviously not shying away from letting everybody know, hey, this is a spiritual successor to Resident Evil 2. We want you to know this. It's in the very title, Daymare 1998, which in my opinion is kind of a weak title. I was hoping it was maybe placeholder. I don't know if it's something they're going to change up later, but it doesn't look like it because they've got the logo for it and everything. A lot of other people have commented on it. Daymare? Really? That's kind of lame. But it doesn't matter, right? All that matters is the game. If the name isn't the best, it's fine. Rewinding just a little bit here, but this kind of looks like a Bandersnatch in a way. It doesn't look like he's trying to grab him or anything. He's just kind of shoulder bashing him. It does look a little awkward right now. It is early alpha footage. Hopefully they get that all ironed out. But this is obviously a much more dangerous enemy than your typical zombie because he's running away. He's trying to get the hell away from the damn thing. This is very clearly the developer's way of showing us, hey, this game's going to have more than just zombies in it, but we're not showing you everything yet because it's a work in progress. Now, the little bit of puzzle solving that was in it was pretty much a no-brainer. The key item that you needed was right there in the same room, which is something that's kind of been a running joke for for Resident Evil for a while now. Oh shit, yeah, puzzles, really. You can find the key in the same room and unlock shit. So for a long time, Resident Evil hasn't been too brain bending. It never really was in the first place. It certainly was never along the lines of something like Tomb Raider, for example. But it's still nice to have those things there. You're going to need key items to progress. They're showing you that. However, that's not to say that they're not going to have some more brain-busting puzzles in the game. I hope that they do. I hope they have some things that make you think for a little while. There's a balance there, however, with games like this, because it is kind of an action shooter, let's be honest. Yeah, they're going for survival horror, but it's more action shooter, and its approach is certainly not classic survival horror. So when they do the puzzles, you don't want them to be too crazy, because people are like, all right, let's move on here. You want the puzzles to break up the combat, to make it feel like it's not too much all at once, but you don't want it to really hinder the game. So they have to play a balance with that. The key items are more important to me than puzzles. If it's just a stupid puzzle that's really easy to figure out, oh, unlock this and then grab that, that's fine. As long as I have a spade key I have to go get, for example, or I have fuses that I have to put in before I can open a door to get down in the underground. That's what I'm looking for in a title like this. Backtracking is certainly something that I expect to be in this. It's very classic Resident Evil, whether you love it or hate it. I'm kind of indifferent to it. It doesn't really bother me as long as the areas change like they have in Resident Evil. That's something that, yes, you did backtrack in Resident Evil, but stuff would change. If you came back from, say, the guardhouse in Resident Evil 1, oh shit, there's hunters in the house now. I better go get my shotgun because shit just got real. That's what I'm looking for. You know, if they do that, that's fine. Backtracking, I don't mind it so much. Some people absolutely hate it if they're not constantly going forward. I can tell you right now, I'm banking on this game having backtracking, I really am. But I don't know, it depends. To me, it looks like they're just going for the point of view of Resident Evil 4. They're just going for the action style of Resident Evil 4, but everything else seems to be very Resident Evil 2. So if that's the case, yes, we're going to have backtracking. If that's not the case, then we're probably just going to keep going forward. Either way, it looks like a lot of fun, and I definitely can't wait to play it. Now, I've reached out to the devs. I sent them an email. They have not gotten back to me yet, which, you know, it's to be expected. I only have about 8K subs. Well, I'm just under 8K subs, but I was really hoping they'd reach out to me and get me involved with the game so I could check it out. And when it comes time to lift NDAs, I can talk to you guys about it, because I am very excited for this. So, you know, maybe Invader Studios will swing through, they'll see the video, and they'll happen to look in the description and see my my contact email. That wouldn't bother me. That'd be perfectly cool with that. Either way, I'm very much looking forward to this game, and hopefully you guys are as well. Hopefully I'll have more information to bring to you soon if the studio releases it. You can be damn sure I'll be here covering it. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already, guys, and please remember to like this video if you enjoyed it. I thank you all for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in my next one.